Hi, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're pickling beets. That picture on the thumbnail was a few years ago and we had a wheelbarrow load of beets and we canned them, just plain beets, and we also pickled them. The whole family absolutely loved the pickled beets, so I'll show you what I did, how I do it, and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Mary. I do home canning, home preservation, pantry preparedness, fixing meals for a family on a budget, using what you have, making the best of where you're at and what you have. So today we're making pickled beets. Got this bad boy right here. Right there, look at that. That's a 2-pound beauty. Now, it's not the biggest one that's ever been grown in the world. That one weighed 156 pounds, I believe. So no, 2 pounds is not 156 pounds. All right, let's get started. You're gonna need to wash and trim up your beets, cut off the green tops, leave about an inch from the stem, from the bottom end right here. See how I did that? So you leave about an inch, and then you'll boil them in just plain water for anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes. That one took a little bit longer than 30 minutes to cook, but you know, cook them according to their size so that everything's done about the same time. Then when they're done, let them cool, and then you will peel them. Gloves are not essential for peeling beets. If you don't mind having red, purple hands, by all means, skip the gloves. I don't want purple hands. I have other things to do this week, so I'm wearing the gloves. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can do this. Bring it on down. Right there. Oh, lovely angle. All right, so what you're gonna do is all you need is just kind of chop off that little top right there, just like that. And then since this is cool and easy to work with, you're just gonna take your thumbs and you're just gonna scrape that skin off right there. You could use a butter knife or something like that, but really, honestly, this is not that hard to do. I mean, it peels in less than a minute, and this is a big 2-pound beet. So make sure all that's off, and voila, you have a peeled beet. I'm gonna do the rest of this bowl, and then I'll dice them up and I'll take you to the next step. Here's one that's just a little regular size, so easier to work with. So you just pop that top off like that, pop the bottom off like that, and then just take your thumbs and just kind of squish it down like that, down to the base. See? And then once you get to the top, take your thumb, whoop, slide it across. Bada bing, bada boom. Your beet is peeled. Before I get started on dicing those beets, I'm going to start the brine because that needs to simmer on the stove for a little bit. And so what you need for that, check my notes here, is 4 cups of vinegar right here. And it needs to be 5% vinegar. So you can look on the label right there, it says 5% vinegar. Now you need to use that because we're canning and it's a preservative, and because beets are a low acid food by nature, you need to jack up that acidity to prevent botulism or any foodborne illnesses that would come from not proper canning them. So pickling them is a safe way to do it, so we can water bath can those. If we weren't using any acid, we would have to pressure can those, and that's a totally different story. But so make sure that your vinegar is 5% acidity. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the sugar, which is just plain old white sugar. I don't know if I can do that. There it is, white sugar. And then this is pickling spice and a little bit of salt. So it's 2 tablespoons of pickling spice, 1.5 teaspoons of salt. That's going to go into your pot. And then you're going to just combine, see if I can get that in there. Okay, so there's the sugar, the pickling spice right there. This is the vinegar going in right there. So that's 4 cups of vinegar. That's 1.5 teaspoons canning salt, then 2 cups of sugar and 2 cups of water. Now, the recipe calls for a cinnamon stick and whole cloves, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the commercial pickling spice. Now you need to bring this to a boil. Once this comes to a boil, we'll put in the diced beets, and then I sliced up some onions because we like pickled onions. So we'll add those in, and then we'll cook those for a little bit, put them in jars, and then off we go. You can work smarter than me, not harder than me, and put your spices in a little cheesecloth sack. But since I didn't have anything around the house, I just put it in the pot, and now I am going to sieve it out so that we don't have all those little bits and pieces of potpourri, as my brother-in-law would like to call it, in our pickled beets. Now that the brine has been brought up to a boil, we're going to add the beets and the onions, and then we are going to bring that to a boil for 5 minutes, and then we'll put them in the jars. I've got vinegar fumes getting in my eyes, so that's why I'm making that face. Here I've got my beets and onions on the stove in the brine, stirring that in. Gonna make sure that it's all mixed together so that all of it can simmer for 5 minutes in that brine to pick up all that great pickling flavor. So while those beets, shut up! I got somebody in the, kick the camera. I got somebody over there chiming in. Okay, so what I've got ready now is I've got the jars and the lids and rings ready right there. So when those beets have came up for 5 minutes, when they're done cooking, I will put them in the jars, wipe the rims with vinegar to make sure they're clean, put on the lids right there, whoa, right there, and then we'll seal them up and process them according to the proper time. There's these beets processing. Now they're going to simmer for 5 minutes, and then when that 5 minutes is up, we'll ladle them into the jars, put them in the water bath canner, and can them for 35 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes are up. I'm going to go over to the stove and pull off the beets, and we'll get to canning this. All right, you're going to ladle these beets into the jar, and you're going to leave a 1/2 inch headspace. After you get your jars filled, you're going to debubble. That's where I have a chopstick and I'm just poking around the sides, making sure that all the air bubbles are out. If the liquid drops below the 1/2 inch mark, you just top it off with a little extra juice that's from the pickling liquid. Right there, I'm wiping the rims with a vinegar on a clean rag just to make sure that there's no bits and pieces left on those rims, and that will ensure a clean seal. Put your lids on. your ring on. You want these fingertip tight. Right there. We'll put these in the canner, bring them up to a boil, and then we'll process them for 30 minutes. Hopefully I didn't put too much water in there. Into the canner, they go. I got 6 24-ounce jars. They're a pint and a half. That seems to work for my family number. But since they're over a pint, if the time were different, you would can these at the quart time because they're over a pint. Turn that up. Okay, the beets are in the canner. I've got 30 minutes once they come to a boil. So in that time, I am going to clean up my mess. And there they are. 6 beautiful pint and a half jars of pickled beets. Thanks for coming along with me on this canning expedition. I have some other canning videos in the works, some tomato sauce and some apricot jam coming up because apricots aren't on. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. So you can do this yourself. And if I keep messing up, I'm going to lose my mind.